Well, on the slavery thing, just my opinion, what I think, then that's the only thing. But you know how when someone goes into prison and they shave their head, uh, at first, I guess at the beginning they shave their head. I don't know if they still do that anymore, but they would shave their head. They'd have them shaved, everything, and said to get rid of bugs. That people get when they have enough hair. And but in the military and the army that the U.S. government owns, that they'd have them shave their heads. They wouldn't have any hair. They'd shave it all off in the past that they showed on TV. Now they probably just cut it real short. I don't know if they're all still bald in there, that they stay that way. But with that in mind, I would say think about this. The forefathers of America was in charge. They created the government. They were in charge of that government. Eventually, other people got in charge of that government. And not all of the forefathers, but most of them, had slaves. It was legal. They said slaves can't have guns. They made gun laws for the government to have to enforce upon the slaves. And so they needed sheriffs. And they created sheriffs. Because all in the past, that's all you see was kings and guards, leaders with guards. And then eventually you saw sheriffs and the cowboy TV shows and movies. And they were created, the sheriffs, when there was still slavery, because slavery didn't end until late or mid 1900s. So, when it comes to the gun laws were created for slaves. Any law created for a slave, or all laws created for the slave, is to prevent them from having something, doing something. You can't freely go fish. You have to get our permission. And then, but if you don't come back, we will send somebody for you to get you. And all this stuff. So, when it comes to the government, they shaved their slaves' heads. And I think that's where the skinhead thing came from. When whites started having their heads shaved, or they switched it and they made people think that, the KKK were all skinheads, white supremacists. They weren't skinheads. I believe they all had hair. And I believe that was created to switch it so that way people wouldn't be able to put that together, that slaves would have their heads shaved. Keep them clean from bugs. Because they had to live almost like animals out there. Except they were fed, they were given clothes, they were given a good enough of a housing to live inside of. Back then, they had finally come up with wood floors, and it used to be dirt floors. They probably had dirt floors, just a little cabin big enough for them to fit in. Where do you think these jail cells are? Look how small they are. But and then maybe they built a big enough building, and they had them all living inside one building. Look at the big old room that they have all the 60 people at once in there. Maybe they did that. And this is all pertaining to how government treats us. Who the real law really, or what the law really is. The law enforcers. My opinion, slave enforcers. They enforce slavery. And they're one of ours, betraying us, turning into traitors. And they know they're pretty much enslaving us. Because they know we can't do anything without their permission. Or their masters, which is our master's, permission. There was something else I was going to get at. But that's the thing, though, it might have been already. But that was the one thing that I'm thinking is what happened. They would shave the blacks' heads. Did it with the Jews. They would shave them down and have them all cleaned up, so they wouldn't have bugs, or if they did, get rid of them. And they made them wash. They weren't dirty. They showed the other videos we didn't get to see back then. Or if they showed them, they lied about whatever was going on. They were given soap and a shower. And that, to stay clean. Everything else is whatever. Because they got it on video then. That's not, unless it's nowadays AI, they're putting it out and it's just AI. We don't know no more. We can't know. Anything on these screens, TV, which is computer, internet. Everything's internet, Tubi TV, all that crap, internet. There's no more regular TV. Here or there, you're being programmed. These help get more people on these because it wasn't getting to people. It's not in their hands. It's not everywhere they go. It wasn't in their friends' hands. It wasn't everywhere. They couldn't take that with them. And then, like, we could take this with them. Or with us. we could take this with us. This is where they suck a majority into all of this mess. And then they got us to create, or all of their mess. And then they got us through this, with this, to create all the mess there is. It wasn't ever this bad until this was created. It was all right. Everything was fine. Crime was kind of rising. But that's because cops weren't really going after real criminals. They were just going out to make money. Traffic crap. Scam. Prison's a scam, jails are a scam, traffic shit is a scam. Going after the criminal justice system is a scam, all in my opinion. All a scam. College is a scam. High school is a scam. All we need to do is learn how to read, write, do math, simple math. We don't need all this other math. We don't go to science. The majority don't go to science, get into science. The majority don't go get into building homes. The majority don't go out and doing all kinds of other stuff that you got to use this wacko crazy math with. And people can create stuff and figure stuff out without all that math. That's above the basic math. Plus, times, and divided. That's all we need to know. And how to read a measuring tape. They never really sat people down and taught them how to read a measuring tape. When I was going to school and I was in shop class, junior high, in this area, when I was at the Boys Ranch at one time, wow, I was in there for 2 years, or a year and 8 months of school. You know, the last whatever of 1 year, and then a full year of the next year. I was the last year. I was in 7th grade. They moved me up to 8th grade because here they said you're too old to be in 7th grade. And so then moved up to 8th, and I was in 8th grade for 8 months, I think, something like that. And and then I went to it wasn't 8 months, it was 4 months. I was in the 8th grade for 4 months. And then I went to the 9th grade for the last year of junior high, and then about when summer hit or near the end of school, I came here. I went back to where I was living before. So now I got into that. Well, I'm getting lost now because when I get going, I get lost. Especially when I bounce around. I guess that's one of the perks. I bounce around on things. But, yeah, that's what I think about the whole deal with slavery and the government. They're tied together. Slavery never ended. Government and slavery are tied together. Slavery never ended. Never. They turned all of us into slaves. They said, to hell with it. We want to keep those laws we created for black people to not own guns. And so we're going to just make everybody a slave in this country and put them all under a certain system. Eventually, we just got to come up with it. And then we'll have them fully enslaved, and we can treat them how we want by a certain year. But it was late. It happened to be later in 1900s, way later, 1980s. Right when we were getting mid 1980, that was it. They put us under their complete control. But that had to happen after they created the fiat money, Social Security number, and the all caps last name to go with that. Then they added the first name eventually, because people could change their last name. So, or the first name and their last name, I don't know, but you could change your name. And so they eventually, you could change your first name or you can change your last name. And you can only do it, I guess, once in their contracts, their system. When you go through them, you can be APU, APU. You can be anonymous, in the private, and undocumented to them. You don't have to tell them anything that they want. You don't have to give them anything that they want. You have that right as long as you invoke it. There's nothing that says it's not illegal to be anonymous, in the private, and undocumented from them. Nothing. Prove me wrong. Show me where it says it is illegal to be anonymous. I want to call in and be anonymous when I report something. Use a different number and be anonymous. I want to be in the private. I'm private. I'm not part of that public. So I'm not driving. I'm not participating with a commercial business, or I don't have a commercial business with a commercial business or a commercial business license. And then I'm going to have a vehicle attached to that that's going to be used for delivering anything or getting anything for my business to take to, or to take to and from. Where that, that's a business. That's then if I drive it, I have to have a driver license, and I automatically have to have it titled, registered, with plates to put on it, and then insured. Because I made it clear to them it's a business, commercial business vehicle. And there is such thing as private businesses. So private businesses do not have to have any of that either. If you're a privately owned business, you're not commercialized, you don't have to have any of that. They don't want you to know it. It's in their U.S. code. You can simply go and put in a question, and their website, ILL, I believe it is, or LLI, ILL, Institute, it's either law, I guess, learning of law, something like that, of learning of law. But it'll pull up all the CFRs if you want to look up any Code of Federal Regulations, and then all of the UCC, all of the U.S. codes. You can pull all that up, and then you can put in the question, this or that, whatever you're looking the U.S. codes to driving, UCC, operator, definition. Operator, definition. Driver, definition. Commercial vehicle, definition. Private vehicle, definition. And you can pull all that stuff up. Anything you can think of to shorten it. It's in there. Because everything of your life, everything pertains to those codes. Those U.S. codes and CFRs. They go by codes, statutes. Those are what they call laws. They're not real laws. They're their laws they made up. They're not natural law. The Bill of Rights and the Declaration of Independence and the Magna Carta and Posse Comitatus and Habeas Corpus. Well, Habeas Corpus is part of all that other crap, but the Magna Carta, Bill of Rights, and Declaration of Independence. That and the Lieber Code, which pertains to the government, is what we're supposed to be under. So if the cops can do everything that's in the Lieber Code, that's only for soldiers of the U.S. to be able to do. They're soldiers of the U.S. They work for the people that works for the U.S. If the governor is not supposed to be working for the United States government. You elected him. You hired him. The governor is to work for you, not the government and go against you. The governor is hired to do what you want. You hired him. You're their boss. And you won't get up in big protest, and since you can't walk up in there, fire them, change the locks, and say, we're getting a new governor. And we're going to choose from Americans, not no rich people. Hard-working, blue-collar Americans that knows what America is supposed to be. The way it was from 1776 all the way up to 1835. It was great. Everybody was free all the way across the board. to use the dirt roads that they created. We paid for, and we go to work for these places to build these roads so we can have roads to use, not to pay to use. We already paid to use it. And some of us worked their butt off to pave it. We have a right to be on it freely. But you fraudsters don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. You want to give out more money out of your pocket, even though it's just, $10. Well, that $10, you could buy something with it that you could enjoy or save to put with another $10. If you want to do that, what is it? Once every 4 years, you'd say, your whole entire life, save that $10, you ain't paying none of that, and then you find out. Or you can go ahead and say, well, $10 every 4 years, and if I lived this long, so you go 10 divided by 4, and then you get, however long you work, whatever. I'm not gonna get all into that, but you know where I'm getting, and then you can figure out how much you would have if you just did it, save money that way, and you go, oh, I got a few $1,000s, I can go buy something. Well, I'm done working. I'm retired. No more paychecks. No more getting any more money as a pay for doing any work. Unless you find a job on the side where then you treat it the same way, and you just keep putting that money away until you get to where you actually need it. Nobody's taught to save money anymore. People used to be. They came out that fiat money, and then a little later on they said, start saving money when everything got good. People had money, and then start saving money. You can have money for and then all of a sudden the prices of everything had doubled. And so or tripled. So what they had saved up by then is not worth what it was then. You ain't got no money. It's today. Everybody was saving even from when their grandparents died, when they grew up enough, be old enough to start saving money, and they saved money all the way up to now. And back then, everything was cheap, and it's like, yeah, everything's cheap, and you didn't think it's going to stay the same their whole, all the way up till they need it, And then come to find out, everything's about 10 times higher than it was back then. In the 80s, we could take $5 and feed a family. In the 80s. Early 80s. Then things started going up again a little bit. 90s hit, that's when everything just... Inflation. On purpose after Clinton. Or it was during Clinton and then after. They used that oil, that gas, get things to go up in price. Maybe it was all fakes. Maybe it ain't that high. Maybe it's a lie. We don't know. We're not with them. We don't know how they're fudging the numbers. Well, I made it long enough. You all take care. Bye.